no secret that I think this is going to be probably one of the most interesting episodes of the Ninjala anime that we're going to look over today. Mainly because the story of Jane and how she might turn into a kid and how Rana's going to turn into a kid is going to be so vastly different from the original episode. So I'm looking forward to see how they do this. I mean, I only saw the one preview from last episode, but let's get right into it. I don't want to waste too much time here, but let me take a sip of my coffee first because I need it. Oh man! I knew this episode was gonna be big in terms of lore and dropping bombshells, but oh boy! I did not expect it to go as crazy as it did. Ninjala Anime, you had no right to go this hard. But I'm actually glad they did it this way. So, hello ladies and gentlemen and all the core gamers out there. CAJ Man 777 here, and welcome back to another Ninjala Anime episode discussion. Episode 8. Absolutely insane. We're going to talk about it, all the implications that it implies to the lore of the Ninjala game, as well as just, I would say, the anime in general. But of course, before we get into that, I just want to ask you guys all to do one favor before we go any further into the video, and that is just to like and subscribe if you guys are enjoying this content here on the channel, because I have a lot to say about this episode. I literally just finished watching it. I am literally going right from watching this episode to talking about it because it was that crazy. So let's get started. The first thing we need to know about this episode, we're going to do the breakdown of the episode first, but the first thing we need to know is during the fireworks festival in Eagle City, during the whole events during this fireworks festival in Eagle City, Burton and Berecca sneak out to the WNA headquarters, at least for this part of it, and later in the episode, we find out that Ron and Jane are also doing things while the fireworks festival is also going on in Eagle City. So let me just establish that right now, because there is a time frame of this episode that you really need to know, and I actually didn't really expect the time shift that they pulled for this episode. So, obviously, the episode starts off with Burton and Berecca sneaking into WNA headquarters. And how exactly do they do this? Well, they use the ninja gum outside of the WNA Academy, which, according to the rules of the Academy, you're not actually allowed to do, but obviously Burton and Berecca turned into kids, so as Burton says in the episode, the rules, of course, are meant to be broken. But exactly how do they get over to the WNA Academy?
Ninja gum があるからね。これがベストだよ。授業以外で使っちゃダメだけど、今回は仕方ない。
Fair enough. Rules are meant to be broken. That is the golden rule.
今だ。さあ、やってくれ。
Interesting idea. Berecca knocks Burton the heck out, and they fly and just land on the fan. And I think the funniest part about this scene is the fact that when you see them hit the fan, Berecca's like completely splattered on it, and Burton's just on the roof. He's like dead. And it's a really funny scene to start off the episode, and I think there was good comedy mixed in, actually, with all the bombshells of lore that this episode dropped. Absolutely incredible, and I'm very happy about that. So obviously Burton and Berecca, they sneak into the WNA, and they use the techniques from inside Ninjala. So they're like, okay, they get through the security, they get through the fan. Obviously Burton kind of gets stuck, and Berecca helps him out. Obviously Burton can, he's a bit of a dork. He can be a bit helpless at times, and Berecca seems to be the more headstrong of the two. So obviously Berecca helps Burton out of a lot of situations. But in terms of how they actually get in to the server room, which is what they're looking for in the WNA headquarters, Burton comes up with this ingenious idea to disguise themselves as metal rope pulls. They use ninja morphing from the ninja gum and turn themselves into metal pole dividers, which usually have ropes attached to them, and you can attach a bunch of them, and they sneak in that way. And I thought that was such a cool detail that they actually, I was like, wait, why are metal pole dividers here? And then it hit me a few seconds later. I'm like, oh my god, they did the thing. So I was really happy to see that.
が最短ルートだしね。でもこの下にあるファンに触れたらその時点でアウトだ。
Fair enough. Berecca saving Burton yet again.
最難関エリアね。
ここは一つスマートな方法で行こうじゃないか。
なんだこんなの置いてあったか。よいしょっと。なんだこれ重てえ。
Interesting.
何かあったのか。
Like they just brought basically metal rope dividers. Oh my god. Yup.
危なかった。
And then the next thing they actually show after they get in is they show this very interesting scene. And I didn't understand exactly why they showed the scene at first, but from the WNA headquarters, there's a few of the security guards, and they notice on monitors that are all throughout the city that there is a fire happening in one of the buildings. Now, you might be wondering, well, what the heck? What is the point of that fire? And I didn't understand it either until later in the episode, which I will talk about as we get there. The good luck cats. You see those everywhere. But back to Burton and Berecca as they go through the academy. Eventually, they meet a hidden wall. They basically lean against a hidden wall, and they jump into the server room, where Burton starts looking up their files for the WNA. Now, all the while, Goro is actually following them through the WNA Academy, which I think is very interesting. Goro seems to be very, Goro seems to be very knowledgeable about Burton and Berecca's location. Obviously, he's a ninja cat. He's a very important character as well. You might think the small animal characters like Gumchi or Goro are not that important, but they're actually pretty important to certain aspects of the story.
このフロアにあるはずなのに。
いくら探しても見つからないじゃない。お、え？
Obviously, they get into the server room, and just as Burton suspected, obviously, their files are gone. Their files are absolutely gone. All the records are wiped, and they're wondering exactly why their records have been wiped. They find out that their records have been wiped, obviously, from an earlier episode when they came into the academy, and they said it's not them. So, not only Burton understands why their data's been wiped, but then they managed to find Ron's data. And the thing that speaks out to me about Ron's data, of course, is at the end they say that Ron is currently he currently has unknown whereabouts, which we know is not the case. They find out, obviously Burton and Berecca find out Ron works for the intelligence division. That's a huge thing. He not only apparently aced the entrance exam with flying colors, but he also obviously, as I predicted, joined the Oniwabanshu. That's because Ron was part of the intelligence division of the Oniwabanshu. That's why he stole the Ninja Gum data, more for the Oniwabanshu's own end.
このデータだけど完全に消去されてる。
だからあの時も。
当然の結果だったわけだ。
ねえ、ロンのデータは？
あった。
情報部在籍、選抜試験をトップの成績で通過した後、鬼輪番衆に所属。
やっぱり。
じゃあロンが忍者ガムの研究データを奪ったのって
情報部長官アレンの指示だったのかもしれない。
Alan is that guy's name. Okay.
続きがある。なお現在は消息不明。
His whereabouts currently unknown.
どういうこと？
Means they're after him. They don't know they don't know the Oniwabanshu's also after Ron. Big dude in the red coat. His name is Alan. And let his name ring out through your head and remember, because he plays a massive role in the lore of this episode, and they do such a good job of explaining this. They even show like this super sinister shot of him, with him just like on the phone, and I think it's a really cool shot with how they run Alan and everybody with that. Now, obviously, after they find Ron's unknown whereabouts, an alarm kind of gets tripped off in the academy, and you might be wondering, well, okay, why is the alarm being tripped off in the academy? That's because Goro, the cat, yeah, he sneaks in and sets off the alarm. So, Now, Goro runs over to Burton and Berecca at some point, and there's this really comedic scene with the dudes coming through the one half of the wall, and Burton and Berecca are just on the other side of the wall, and I kind of saw that coming from a mile away. Goro! Goro in the corner.
そこまでして隠したい秘密が忍者ガムにはあるって。
Obviously, Alan wants to hide something about the ninja gum.
僕たちはとんでもないものを研究してたんだって。
侵入者侵入者総員地下へと向かえ。
嘘、見つかった。なんでここに。
もしかして侵入者って。
こっちに向かったはずだ。
Uh-oh.
ひとまず中へ。
くまなく探せ。この中じゃないのか。
Don't forget, though, they also, while Burton and Berecca were in the academy, the headquarters server room, not the academy server room, sorry, they looked up the research on the ninja gum to find that it's been locked top secret, meaning somebody is trying to hide something. As we know, Alan is trying to hide the fact that the ninja gum has side effects. Now, bear in mind, all these characters besides Burton, Berecca, and Ron, and possibly Jane, because obviously Jane has the data, they don't know about the side effects. So that's why the ninja gum data has been locked up. Now, who has it been locked up by? Of course, none other than Alan, and we're gonna get to him in a bit because he plays a very like sleazebag role, I would say. And it reminds Burton, of course, that they were researching some really, really sketchy stuff to begin with. So that's why the files might have been locked up. So after the alarm goes up, after they do all their research, Goro runs to Burton and Berecca, and as I told you, they have this really comedic scene with the wall flipping back and forth. But guess who is already in the server room when this scene happens? None other than Master Genryusai, who sees the whole thing. And I think he had his suspicions from the characters to begin with, because after the server room scene, he meets with Burton and Berecca on their own and discusses, you two have been suspicious ever since you walked into the academy. Oh, but he saw him, didn't he? He saw him, though.
No, 僕にもわからないよ。
本部に忍び込むとは無茶なことをするの。お主ら、一体何者じゃ。アカデミーに入学してきた時からお主らにはずっと不思議なものを感じておった。そして今回のこの行動。
いやー、散歩してたら道に迷っちゃって気がついたらここに。なんて。
で、何を調べた？
Oh, he saw it too! Oh, come on.
これ、やめんか。そういうことじゃったか。
So, after some confidence from Goro, and a very stern look from Genryusai. Remember, most of the time the man has his eyes closed, but the shot they give him close up on his eye, oh boy, you would not want to lie to that man. I'm telling you right now. But basically, in this scene, Genryusai learns of Burton and Berecca's true origins. So now he knows they are actually adults, and that is such an important thing. And because of that, he also learns that the ninja gum has side effects. Now, Burton does assure Master Genryusai that the ninja gum is perfectly safe for kids, which is true. And then he goes on to compliment his own research, which is, of course, funny. And Berecca's like, oh, I'm just going to reprimand him right there. But Genryusai infers from this that someone is trying to use that power. Now, who is trying to use that power and for what purpose? Of course, none other than Alan. Once again, the director of intelligence. Most likely because he is trying to shift the power balance in the WNA. Now, Burton and Berecca know the director, obviously, from their research. So Burton and Berecca kind of infer that he might be using the ninja gum to either toughen these kids for his own nefarious purposes or for some unknown reason. The main reason, obviously, is to somehow take control of the WNA, but why? That is something we do not learn in this episode, but there's something very interesting about Alan that we get to learn later through the Ron and Jane portion. All we know from this scene is that they are he is trying to work to seize control of the WNA, and the chief of the WNA, Luke, that's the dude with the red hair on the sides, the white hair, red hair on the sides, the really nice looking fellow, I think he's always in like a blue or black suit. He's the director of the WNA, and even Genryusai says Luke has his hands full with Alan. Alright, they told him everything.
でも子供が食べる分には無害だし、忍びの力を引き出すなんて本当すごいガムですよね。
ちょっとバートン。
じゃがその力を利用しようとしている者がおる。
アレンですね。
子供たちをガムの力で強化して何かしようと？
奴の狙いはまだわからんが、WNA で実権を握りつつあ
Oh,
る。
that's so interesting!
今や総長であるルークですら手を焼いておる。
そんなことが起こってたのか。
単なる権力争いのようにも見える。
Might look like a power grab, but something just doesn't sit right. Yeah, something's interesting here. There's gonna be something to watch out for in the coming episodes in its own right. So, I'm pretty happy about how they've done the lore reveals. And then we get a scene where Master Genryusai, it basically is just asking Burton and Berecca, well, whatever he's after, it doesn't matter. And he asks Burton and Berecca, we somehow need to purge the Scourge from the WNA. Meaning, purge what the Oniwabanshu might be after in the WNA with their use of the ninja gum. So he asks Burton and Berecca to basically kind of work for him. And they don't give him a direct answer, but Genryusai kind of gives some really good motivation, saying, so what if you turn back into adults? Can you spend the rest of your lives with a target on your back, knowing that the Oniwabanshu are coming for you? And that's a big serious thought that's on the mind of Burton and Berecca in the very next scene, because in the very next scene, you know, they show all the characters, they say, hey, we're going to be doing some 1v1 practice ninja battles, kind of like how we have when we play, when I play Ninjala with a couple people, you know, we do our 1v1s, team battle middle drone only kind of thing. And they do some 1v1s, but without the drones, and Burton is so lost in thought that we watch him get owned over and over and over.
確かにアカデミーは安全だ。でもアレンが上層部にいる限り、僕たちはきっとまた狙われる。
バートン、早くしろよ。
さっさと終わらせるよ。
Very clean animation work there.
そんな。楽勝楽勝。
次どんどん行くぞ。
Emma with the skate hammer?
さっきは油断しただけだ。相手は子供。僕が本気を出せば。
He's gonna get wrecked over and over, right? He's too far in thought. It's through Burton getting owned over and over and over that Burton realizes he's not strong enough as a kid, or he wouldn't be strong enough as an adult in his current state, even though he's the descendant of Hanzo, which is one of like the strongest ninjas out there, I'm assuming. He wouldn't have the power to take on the Oniwabanshu as he currently is. So he dedicates himself, obviously, to being a lot stronger and working through Burton and Berecca. So they go back to Genryusai and tell him, hey, we're going to work with you. And that's going to be a big thing. So Genryusai, Burton, and Berecca, as I thought, and how they know each other, even in Story Mode Chapter 2, it seems like Berecca goes on more of a secret mission for Genryusai compared to Van and Kappei, who kind of are dealing with another threat in the Space Ninja in the actual game, which I think we will get to in the anime, which I think is going to be very interesting to see. But basically, they're going to be working as a team.
いいわね、それ。
良い返事が聞けて安心したぞ。これからもよろしく頼む。
And then we cut to Ron and Jane, and the first thing Jane says is that there's going to be a fireworks show in Eagle City that night. Now, remember how I said there's an interesting time frame in this episode? Well, when Burton's getting owned, obviously that's the next day in the academy. But then we flash back to the previous night, because while Burton and Berecca are infiltrating the academy, Ron and Jane are also doing their own thing. And I wondered how they were going to change Jane's episode up. And basically what ends up happening is Jane finds a letter.
何かしら
Now, part 1 is done. Now we get to the change.
君が WNA のリーダーとなれるよう祈っている。協力は惜しまない。穏やかじゃないわね。まさかあの二人がつながっていたなんて。
Nope.
これは
We later learn that the president of Comerica, which is the, the world of Ninjala, or the city of Ninjala, sent that letter to Alan of the Intelligence Division. So that's why Alan might be trying to take over the WNA, so he can rise even further in power and maybe overwrite the president of Comerica. Or they're in cahoots, and we've never seen the president of Comerica, so that's going to be such an interesting thing to go conceptually going forward, and I just can't. It's unreal how cool this episode was. But obviously, after Jane finds this, the Oniwabanshu realizes, you snooped a little bit too much, and so of course the Oniwabanshu go after Jane. You're in trouble now. So now Jane's on the run from the Oniwabanshu, and we get the most amazingly cool and just absolutely badass scene in the episode. Jane kind of showing off a little bit, and I'm all for it. Whoever animated the Jane scene and the Ron scene, huge props. Just saying it right now. You guys did an amazing job with that scene.
褒め言葉として受け取っておくわ。
They really did change this up a little bit, and I'm so down for it. Oh my goodness. Woo! The finesse!
私がそんな聞き分けのいい女に見える
And yeah, okay! Okay! He knew too then! At some point!
これ見よがしに登場するなんてヒーロー気取り
Who comes up to save the day? Of course, it's Ron. And then, the Oniwabanshu obviously chase Ron and Jane throughout the city. So, but the interesting thing is, when we cut back to Ron and Jane, they're in a warehouse, they're kind of alone, and they're wondering, okay, what the heck is going on? As they're running from the Oniwabanshu, they're cutting them off from alleyway and alleyway, and they lead them into a building during the fireworks show. And Ron and Jane obviously have a good talk with each other. So Ron finds out that Jane is being targeted by the Oniwabanshu because Jane found out about the secret letter between the president of Comerica and, of course, the Alan of the Intelligence Division. And Jane asks Ron, why are they after you? Ron says he's not sure why, but I think deep down he knows exactly why the Oniwabanshu are after him. But remember that fire I talked about earlier in the episode, and I thought it was nothing? Well, unfortunately, it's actually not nothing, because remember how I said the Oniwabanshu were leading Ron and Jane somewhere? They were leading them into a building that had a bomb. And the bomb goes off. Uh-oh.
まさか。
何よどうしたの
And that's the fire. We know they will be okay. They absolutely will be okay because they haven't even entered the WNA Academy as kids yet, which is where they're going to hide from Alan as Burton and Berecca talk to Genryusai about earlier, as they can kind of work undercover as kids, which is very interesting in its own right. But that's all we really get from the episode. And as much as I love the next episode preview, which, by the way, is going to be Emma and Lucy together, which I knew they were going to do something with them after seeing how many interactions they had. What's really got me hooked is the story they are telling right now and the lore that this implies. Because this implies that Alan is obviously, he's a power-hungry mongrel. He's a sleazebag. He will work under people. He will cut people down to get what he wants. And he has a whole army, basically, of ninja to do exactly what he wants. And apparently, the president of Comerica wants that as well. So I think, as I predicted, Ron and Jane, they are going to be like anti-heroes, reluctantly eventually working with Burton and Berecca under Genryusai. But it's going to be those four in the WNA Academy that are going to be working undercover, unbeknownst to the other characters in Ninjala, to take down Alan and the Oniwabanshu and find out what he's really after besides just control of the WNA. Because there is definitely more to it that we do not know yet, and I am so hyped the way, I'm like amped up with how good the storytelling in this episode and the lore telling in this episode was. Because now we have a setup for literally every other event in Ninjala so far, and there's still more details we're going to learn as it goes forward. I'm interested to see if we'll ever see the president of Comerica. I'm interested to see if an earlier thing I predicted might come true, where, you know, Alan knows, hey, the ninja got my side effects, but we're going to send members of the Oniwabanshu into the WNA Academy, into Ninjala, to try and hunt down these people. Because, again, Alan knows of the side effects, and Ron already told him that Burton and Berecca are kids. Now, he doesn't know what they look like as kids. That's the big thing. Unless Ron gave them the description and therefore kind of ruined the entire plan to begin with. But, wow. Extremely good episode in terms of lore, and it was pretty self-explanatory. I honestly think the biggest lore bombshell was that the president of Comerica might actually be pretty dishonest, a pretty dishonest person if they're trying to use Alan to help Alan rise to the top of the WNA, or help Alan rise to the top of the WNA. And that's obviously Alan's ulterior motive, is he wants power. He's a power-hungry he's just a power-hungry character, so I'm interested to see what they do with that. And I really like the time frame of this episode. The episode actually happens the next day with the Burton and Berecca portion at the end, but then the previous night, all while the fireworks show is going on. So all those events happened within a few hours, most likely, and that's awesome. That's really awesome to think about, and I'm excited to see where it goes. I'm excited to see how Ron and Jane get into the academy. I'm excited to see if they meet up, if they're going to end up going to the academy and just to seek out Burton and Berecca to begin with, or seek out Genryusai, and Genryusai is going to help them. I don't know what they're going to do. This was a really good episode. I have no words for this. This was a good episode. Storytelling was great. The animation, even in the small scene where they were doing one-on-one fights with Burton and Kappa, there was quick, fluid animation that felt good. And then the Jane scene, again, whoever animated that, wow, you again, not anything like super crazy, but really well done animation on the Jane and Ron portion for sure. Credit to the animators, or the animator that might be behind that scene specifically. You guys did an absolutely incredible job. Action animators, you guys. Pog. You get like 5 pogs. Five good, solid pogs from me. But yeah, that's all I really wanted to discuss in this episode. I know this one felt a little faster, and I want to try and keep these episodes, or these anime discussions, a little bit shorter. But let me know what you guys thought of this episode down in the comments section below. I know this felt really quick for those of you who watched it, but it's how it felt even watching it and learning all this lore and stuff. We can imply a little bit on the lore, but we can't really imply too much else going forward. We'll have to see how the other episodes go forward. I think next episode's going to be a little more of a fun side episode with Emma and Lucy, so I wouldn't expect too much lore or bombshells in that. Maybe Lucy will get her scrap saber next episode, and Emma will get her skateboard that they're commonly depicted with in the Ninjala art. Yeah, it's just a really good episode. Also, I do want to mention before we call it, that whoever's doing the little art when they're doing Burton's weapons knowledge at the end, whoever's doing that art, it needs a raise, because that art is just, whether it's conceptual art that they're turning into a full sketch, or it's just a manga artist doing it or something like that, it just looks really cute. Keep doing it. You guys are absolutely incredible with that, and credit to the animators for putting together such a good anime, and the story writers and everything like that, keeping within the Ninjala lore, and the devs, obviously, for making Ninjala, because without Ninjala, obviously, we wouldn't have any of this. But yeah, that's all I gotta say, so I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, make sure to not only hit that like button, but also hit that subscribe button to help this channel reach 5,000 subscribers by the end of the year. And, you know, on top of that, you know, credit to, again, the Ninjala devs and Gung Ho for everything they do, because Season 9's right around the corner. I'm pretty hype. I think that's why I'm so excited as well. Obviously, Season 9 is literally next week, or it'll probably be this week, depending on the time this episode comes up, or depending on the time this discussion video comes out, but yeah, let me know what you guys' favorite part of the episode was down below, and I will see you guys in the next episode or in the next video. So until then, this is CAJ Man 777 signing off. Stay safe, everybody.